If you've ever seen a child forced to grow before his time, then you already know how this story begins. In the quiet village of Umaquata, a 12-year-old boy named Chinidu woke up every morning with responsibilities meant for a grown man. While other boys his age were still learning how to tie their shoelaces, Chinidu was already learning how to survive. His father always said, "You are a boy, Chinidu, and a boy must be strong." But nobody ever asked, strong for who? Chinidu's mornings were not filled with cartoons or breakfast. Instead, they began with fetching water, feeding goats, and rushing to school with sandals so worn out you could see the ground through them. Yet he walked tall. Not because he wanted to, but because society expected the boy child to hide his struggles behind a brave face. Every time he passed other kids who mocked his torn shirt, he told himself, "Real men don't cry." But deep down, he was still just a child trying to make sense of a world that offered him very little kindness. In school, Chinidu was the kind of student teachers noticed, sharp, curious, brimming with potential. But potential doesn't pay school fees. When the term ended and fee reminder letters were handed out, Chinidu carried his own home with fear sitting heavily in his chest. His father held the letter for a long moment, then sighed, "My son, sometimes life does not give us what we want." Those words crashed into Chinidu harder than any punishment. Because what he wanted, what he dreamed of, was simply to stay in school. By age 14, Chinidu was no longer just a son. He had become a second father, a silent provider. He worked at the market on weekends, carried cement at construction sites during holidays, and still managed to help his mother at home. Nobody ever asked whether he was tired. Nobody noticed the nights he stayed awake, fighting the urge to break down. In many African homes, the boy child is expected to endure, even when he is drowning. One afternoon, while carrying blocks under the hot sun, Chinidu felt his vision blur. The world spun, then everything went black. When he woke up under a shade, the supervisor didn't ask if he was okay. He shouted, "If you're weak, go home. Men don't fall like that." But Chinidu wasn't a man. He was a boy, bruised, overworked, exhausted, yet expected to carry burdens he didn't understand. His fainting wasn't weakness. It was a cry for help. Returning to school didn't make things easier. Some classmates mocked him. Teachers scolded him for lateness. Nobody knew he woke at 4 a.m. every day. The last straw came when a boy insulted his family, calling them village beggars. Chinidu snapped. Years of anger and pressure exploded, and before he could stop himself, he was in a fight he didn't even want. The school suspended him for 2 weeks, but the real punishment came when he got home, and his father accused him of bringing shame to the family. That night, Chinidu cried quietly, asking the sky, "When will someone fight for the boy child?" 2 weeks later, something unexpected happened. A youth development NGO visited the school, a program that helped vulnerable children. The coordinator, Madame Sefiu, noticed Chinidu immediately. She didn't just see a troublemaker. She saw a boy carrying a world too heavy for his age. She asked him one simple question that no adult had ever asked. "How are you, really?" That question unlocked emotions Chinidu had buried for years. Through the NGO program, Chinidu learned something shocking. Boys are allowed to feel. Boys are allowed to ask for help. Boys are allowed to cry. He learned coping skills, emotional management, and self-worth, things poverty never taught him. Slowly, the weight on his shoulders began to reduce. For the first time, he felt understood. For the first time, he felt human. Madame Sefiu helped him secure a scholarship. Chinidu returned home with renewed hope. His father didn't understand at first, but he later realized that raising a boy didn't mean turning him into a machine. Chinidu studied harder than ever, and year after year his commitment paid off. He graduated with top honors in engineering. The same boy who almost dropped out now became the pride of his village. Years later, Chinidu returned to Umaquata not just as an engineer, but as a mentor. He built a community center for boys, a place where young boys could talk, feel, learn, and grow without shame. Standing before them, he said, "Strength is not silence. Strength is knowing when to ask for help." And with that, He became the voice he wished someone had given him when he was still small, scared, and struggling. Because the story of one boy can become the hope of many. Stay tuned for more stories.